up in the morning, about 8:45. Get home in the evening, too tired to take time to give me the loving I've been waiting for all day. You're always too tired.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Queen's Grapevine. This is your host, Wallingford Lee, talking to you about this special program that we're going to have named Latinas Part 2. Those of you who have followed our program for years know that we're constantly involved, going forward, talking about multicultural situation, educational situation. And now that we did the first program about Latinas Part 1, we're doing Latinas Part 2, where we're going to emphasize a little bit on the Dominican community, the beauty of the Dominican woman, the power of the Dominican woman, and more importantly, how she's viewed as a mother, how she's viewed professionally, and more importantly, the beauty and what she brings to the table as a person and as a mother of the civilization. We feel very privileged to have with us our special guest today, who's going to share her thought process about these issues that we talked about. I'm talking about Giselle Pena. Welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's good to have you, Giselle. Well,
Thank you for having me.
No, definitely, it's good to have you. We want to talk a little bit. What are some of the challenges, in your estimation, that are facing Latinas today?
Well, Latinas, for starters, and I'm going to speak for all Latinas, not only Dominican, but for starters, I feel that we're portrayed differently from from other women, from black to white women. We're considered to be a sex symbol, and we face obstacles every single day because of that. From the moment we walk out to the street to when we get back home, and it becomes very overwhelming, especially for again a Latina woman.
So when we talk about sex symbols, two ways of looking at it, and it's a very appropriate answer. You said that you looked at it as a sex symbol in a positive way or negative manner, or just like as a come on by men in the street.
Just the way we're approached in the street, I would say. I mean, in general, yeah, it could be overwhelming. Absolutely. It could definitely be overwhelming, especially, going into the workforce. It's very challenging because we're faced, again, with obstacles, and one of the obstacles is sexual harassment. As a Latina, I myself has had to face sexual harassment, and it did, take a long and a big toll in me because I became very depressed and very much to myself. And I no longer wanted to partake in society because I felt that the moment I would step out, I was going to be judged, either sexually or just judged in the whole, aspect of the word.
How widespread something like that is in terms of harassment? Because, we read and we see on television that is a lot of sexual harassment case brought on by women because of in the workplace how there's some of the supervisors, some of their managers come on to them, the innuendos. How widespread it is in your imagination?
Oh, very, very. Sexual harassment is unfortunately it's very widespread and very big. A lot of women stay quiet. They don't say anything about it. They go to work every single day frustrated and upset because they're afraid to lose their job. And this is one of the things that we're facing nowadays. And it's so shameful because we're supposed to be living in a diverse society, and we're not. We're ridiculed, we are abused. I mean, we were talking earlier about an incident that happened. It was a show that they were portraying Latinas, as major sex symbol. And that's not who we are. We are educated, we are smart. We do everything and anything that any other woman does. And we deserve to be treated with respect.
I happen to agree with you. Obviously, one of the biggest proponents of things we're talking about is Hollywood. Or Latina women are either portrayed as a maid, they are portrayed as a sex symbol, women that they're very provocative. Everything about them is tight. And as such, we should respect them as a person and as women in general, and not just look at them as sex symbol because as Giselle just mentioned, they bring a lot more to the table, bring back to the table that they're smart, they're intelligent. Most of them in today's society are extremely educated with master's degree, bachelor's degree, and as such, they deserve the respect that any decent woman should get. How can we curtail such madness that happen on how Latinas are viewed in that matter?
Well, one of the things that I can be treated, number one, with respect. You know, we're not a sex symbol. And I wanted to add on to that. One of the powerful women that, she's out there and I love seeing her shows is Sofia Vergara. And it's unfortunate. Like she has right now, she has an advertisement out on Kohl's, the whole big store on Kohl's, and she's there talking about how, she needs a dress with more curves, something with more curves. And I understand that what she's trying to put out there is like us, Latinas, we are very curvaceous women. And I got that. But other people looking at it, and I did have the discussion with a couple of my friends, and I said, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about this commercial? And the feedback that I got was basically, we're selling sex. We're selling sex, and I think that we need to change that. And we need to show, we're not only sex symbols, we're, like you said, we're very, very smart and educated women.
I happen to agree with you that in instances there are certain females, and again, it's not all of them should be branded, and which still brings up a very interesting point, that if one sells that or she's selling sex, it doesn't mean that all Latinas are into that conveyor belt of selling that such a beautiful body, that there's a little bit more to that, and it's up here. There's a brain and there's a level of intelligence. It's not just their body, the tight dresses and stuff like that. When we talk about Latinas, how do you think Dominican Latinas are portrayed in Hollywood, in your estimation?
Well, we have, and I'm proud to say, we have Zoe Saldana. She's one of
great actress, very great actress,
very great actress, and she's one of the females that I have to say that it's not considered a sex symbol. She's a great actress, and I'm happy to say que es mi compatriota.
And that's a great thing. And it really is. I think she picked a nice person. Zoe Saldana has really carried herself with a lot of integrity, a lot of respect. And the paperism that she chooses, the movement that she chooses to act in, you never find her to be unrobing herself or carrying herself in a way that's not dignity. She represents the Dominican community in a very nice, professional manner. And the reason why I'm happy you bring up our name is one of the few of them that are out in Hollywood that you can look up at with a certain amount of respect without having any doubt what she brings to the table, and she brings a lot to that. But if we go away from a Saldana, let's walk away in the streets. What are the interpretation you think of the Dominican woman? I find them to be very, very beautiful, very pretty. What is your interpretation? How do you look at?
Well, I mean, there's two sides of the coin, to everything in life. I think that, like in every culture, we have our strong-minded, very educated woman, and then we have our, women that give out their bad names. But as a Dominican woman, and with the people that I've surrounded myself and I've bumped into and I've spoken with, because I like to know, how people feel and like to observe and look at our communities and different things that women have done. And as a Dominican, I feel that, we're very strong-minded women, and, society just has to change the way that they're looked, that we are looked.
How do you think Latina women in a whole bring themselves as a mother and as a professional woman in the work? How are they viewed, and how's your interpretation? What is your view of that?
Well, it's unfortunate because now I'm going to talk about women in general. All women, we are not treated with respect. We are very underpaid. And it's sad because I think that there's more was reading, and I'm sorry, I was reading in an article on the brain of a male and a female, and it says that a woman's brain is a lot. I'm not going to say an insignificant amount larger, but it is a little larger than the man. So we are capable of handling and doing a lot more than a man, and we're not recognized for that because we have men that are being overpaid for things that we can do a lot better. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
And why does society view it that way? That, in your estimation, that woman does not get the respect in terms of the level of intelligence?
Well, because we're still not allowed to do the certain military-wise things that men are dude. Like, Navy SEALs and all this stuff. We still can't do that because they don't feel that we're strong enough, that we have the capacity.
Do they feel that way, or because they're being protective that they're concerned that women could get hurt?
Well, women get hurt every single day. I don't think that that is a reason why we shouldn't be able to perform or to do the same duties that men do. Why are we so underpaid? Why don't we get the same amount of pay that men do? Why is that?
When we get back in the Queen's Grapevine, we're going to continue talking to Giselle. This is a very, very hot topic. The underpayment of women, the treatment of women, not only in the military, but out in the business world. We'll be right back on the Grapevine as we continue navigating, talking about Latinas in a whole.
Y a todo aquel que visite nuestra tierra, perplejo se quedará con su belleza.
And we're back here in the Queen's Grapevine talking about Latinas in a whole, the impact that they have had in the business world, the positive influence as a mother, and more importantly as professionals, and we're talking about some of the roadblocks that Latinas in a whole have encountered in the business world and how they are viewed also in Hollywood. Our special guest tonight on the Grapevine has been Giselle Pena, who has been kind enough to be our guest to share some of the things that she think and feel and some of the experience that she has seen, how Latinas have been presented in a whole and what her feelings about it. Well, we were talking a little bit about the underpayment of women, okay? Why do you feel that women are underpaid? I
feel that statistically, yes, we are. We are definitely underpaid. Latinas especially, we're definitely underpaid in the workforce world. Another thing is that, for instance, I was doing my own little investigation. I kind of like doing those things because, it gives me some knowledge and knowledge of things that are going on nowadays. And I was reading and, for any job, let's say labor job, maintenance job, you put, a male and a female's paperwork together and you'll see the difference of the pay difference. We're literally $10,000 to $15,000 under a man. So we're definitely underpaid. There's no doubt about that. And it's unfortunate because we can do, like I told you before, we can do the same work or even more than a man. I mean, we juggle children, we juggle a house, we cook and we clean. And on top of that, we work and we're still being underpaid. I'm sorry, but if you don't see anything wrong with that picture, then I don't know what else to say. Then I'm fighting here for nothing.
Interesting thought process about it. And not for nothing, I think she's right. Women are grossly underpaid in the business sector. It's not right. It's not fair, and obviously it's something that should be addressed. But I would imagine that it's something that business per business. You mentioned something about the Army. In the first half of the program, we're talking about Navy SEALs and stuff like that. Do you honestly believe, knowing that the Army is full of combat and violence, that a woman can carry out that type of job?
Absolutely. No doubt about that, yes.
Yeah. Every aspect of those type of jobs.
Yes, I think that we are fully capable of operating and doing those jobs, yes.
Okay, because one of the reasons I asked that question is because I don't have the background in Army and stuff like that, but I'm talking about like lifting heavy things and carrying them and being in combat. You don't find it dangerous for a woman?
As dangerous as it is for a man, yes.
Okay, so you see no problem with that. It should be an equal course
Yes.
like anything else.
Yes.
You don't think that sometimes the Army is somewhat protective of women on the battlefield, and they should be protective of them?
How protective are they if they put us on front line in the battlefield? There are women who are out there with rifles and shotguns and guns in their hands, and they're fighting. They're there on line. They're putting their lives on line. So what are they in reality protecting us from?
Well, you might have a point, but again, we'll go back to the same type of thing. I know in some cases there are women who are in the front line, and these are women who have earned it. I know there are captains and people who have made it into the military forces, women,
Yes.
and have done a wonderful job. But I know some women, like in your case, feel that the Army is not fair with them
Not
when
at
it
all.
comes to equality. In what way you think is not fair?
In every way. I feel that, like I said, for instance, the Navy SEALs job, there are a lot of more jobs out there. I'm just naming one of them. But there are a lot of jobs there in the military that a woman is not able to perform. We're considered to be, weak, and we can't perform it. We can't lift heavy machineries. But, I find that to be truly, truly unfair. Women need to be treated with the same equal rights as men. We should be treated with respect. We should not be looked at as sex symbols, because we're not sex symbols. I think that a woman should be treated equally as men, like I said before.
Let's talk a little bit about the Army. Sometimes we read in the newspapers and we hear on television a certain amount of misfortune, violence, and rape that happen to women in the Army. How widespread do you think something like that is?
Very. I think it's very, very widespread. But I mean, these are things that we don't hear about these things in the news. We don't hear about these women being raped and abused in the military. So I think it is a problem that we need to address. And it is a problem that we need to correct immediately. This shouldn't be something that should be going on nowadays, not in society, not where we're living right now, no.
And you don't think the Army is addressing these things?
I think they are doing it under their own circumstances. I don't think it's addressed properly, and I don't think that, it should be addressed with the intensity that it should be, because, like I said, women need to be treated with respect, and we're not. I think that, we're just being walked on and stepped on and not taken seriously
Well,
in the Army.
Well, I must say to you, I think that in today's society, there has been a big change in terms of recognizing the ability and capacity of women compared to the 60s. I think women have gone very, very far, and there are still some other places that they need to go, and society should open those doors, because there are a lot of smart and intelligent women. Let's talk a little bit about Dominican women in the community. What are some of the important things you think that some Dominican women have done since they migrated here in terms of business, in terms of their own business, and in terms of creativity?
Well, Dominican women, to begin with, we are very strong women. I mean, we're taught manual labor work, so I'm going to talk, for example, my grandmother came here in the 1940s, I'm sorry. And when she came here, it was so different. My grandmother worked 3 jobs.
Wow.
She was able to buy her own house and bring her kids from the Dominican Republic to, America. And when I was hearing her story, it was incredible. I think that then there was a lot more opportunities than there is now. There was a lot more jobs. People were living in such a different world to what we're living now.
Does those type of things, when you talk about your grandmother, define the strength of the Dominican woman in terms of one who goes out and fight to get what she wants?
Wow, it's incredible. Again, going back to my grandmother, when she came here, she said, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to come here to work. I'm going to come here to improve myself and my family. And that's exactly what she did. And it's admiring. I mean, I admire her. I admire my mother. My grandmother had a total of 8 kids. And she worked, and she brought her 8 kids here. Not only was she able to do that, but she was able to offer them an education. She was able to offer them a place to live, at a house where they were able to call home. And these are things that you don't see anymore. We have immigrants coming here, they're killing each other every single day. So, going back to the Dominican woman, I'm very proud to say that, my grandmother, she was able to, come into America and grow, grow in a tree and make it blossom into a huge tree of family.
So obviously she was a different maker, one that brought her family here
Yes.
for a better life, one that didn't talk. She worked hard and demonstrated our integrity and intestinal fortitude to get the things that she wanted to do and give you guys an education, and
Right.
rightfully so. When we get back in the Queen's Grapevine, we'll continue talking to Giselle about the power, the strength of Latina in general, but specifically the Dominican woman. She's one of the strongest women who have migrated here and have made a difference. A lot of them have opened up their own business, beauty salon. Some of them have owned bodegas. Some of them have owned supermarkets. Some of them have been doctors, lawyers, scientists, to emphasize the strength and the powerful as a woman and as a mother of the Dominican woman. We'll be right back on the Queen's Grapevine.
Get up in the morning, about 8:45. Get home in the evening.
And we're back here in the Queen's Grapevine talking about Latina women in a whole, part 2 of our program. We did a previous program before with Lisa Soaring, where we talked about, again, Latina women, and now we're with Giselle Peña, who has been kind enough to be our guest, talking about Latina women in general, and specifically a little bit more on the Dominican side. As you know, there's a lot of beautiful Dominican women right here in the tri-state area here, right here in Queens, in Manhattan, in the Bronx, and they bring more than their beauty, because most of them are extremely intelligent and business women, and women who are migrated here and set up their own business and have done very well. And we feel that it's important to talk about these type of legacy, talk about these good news of people who have made a difference. Just as we talk about that, are there any women that you can think about in the Dominican community, or women in a whole, that have made a difference that you look up to, women who have started their business, women who have knocked down doors to get to where they're at in the business world, maybe because of bad experience that they had in the past and had to set up their own business?
Yeah, my mom. My mother, she is a warrior. This woman fought with her teeth and her nails. And she was able to open up her own business. Not only was she able to open up her own business, but she was able to contribute to the community by being able to give jobs, to open up jobs for other people in the community. So, that's something that I admire very much, that you're able to come in, especially as a Latina Dominican woman, to be able to contribute, to give in something to our community, to be able to open up her own business, which is one of the hardest things that she, as she was telling me the stories, that she had to do. She did, her doors did get closed by different banks because, again, she's a Latina woman. We didn't have, a lot of money whatsoever. So the fact that she was able to do that is definitely admiring nowadays, and she was able to provide jobs to other people who needed it in the community.
That's good to know, and those are positive stories for a person or a youngster who's watching a program of this magnitude, to understand that yes, you can, and if you try harder, yes, you can. And sometimes it might be difficult. It doesn't mean that you should stop there. Just continue keeping on to get to where you want. Once you got that goal, once you have that objective, once you have that finality in your mind, and you say, you know what, it is possible. And that's the great thing about America. Almost everything is possible. If you don't believe me, look at Obama. Obama became the president of the United States, won a second term, really kicked the Republican Party, who tried to squash him and find all kind of stupid ways and for him not to be elected. And you know what? The American public spoke, and as a minority, he has made a difference, and they still continue to fight him. So all of these type of things are possible. And as Giselle mentioned, all these positive thing that our mother had to go through to set up a business that eventually hire other people. Are there any other Latinos that stands out in your mind when you think about all these other things and stuff like that?
Of course, many of my mom's friends came in from the Dominican Republic around the same area where my mom lived at. Also, were able to open up their own businesses, to be able to provide again to the community. So perseverance, you understand? So nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. And like us Latinos say, si se puede. Si se puede.
Well, let's talk a little bit. I know that you're a music lover. Who are some of the musicians and more singers that have really impressed you, made a difference to you?
Oh, man. I love music. I'm an artist myself. Beyonce, she's an American woman, but she's also an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. Jennifer Lopez as a Latina, incredible. She's amazing. She was able to, open up new doors. These doors that were closed, this woman, this Latina, was able to go in there and open the door for us to be able to make it out there in society and in this world. We have Celia Cruz as well. Celia Cruz is, my God, ¿Qué no fue Celia Cruz? ¿Quién más?
Well, I like the fact that you mentioned Jennifer Lopez, New York born, Bronx, New York, from the Boogie Down Bronx, who have made a difference. Here's a woman, not only actor, a singer, a tremendous market there that set up our own business and have other businesses associated, which again bring jobs to the minority community. So these are the type of things that are very important. We have approximately 1.5 minutes. Is there a message that you would like to give to the Latino community or women in general who are out there? The fact that some of the things that you have seen, are there positive changes or any message that you want to give?
Yeah, sky is the limit. We can do it. We can make a difference. It's up to us, what is it that we want in life and how we want to make it or flourish as women, as Latinas. We have that upper hand. We have that power. So let's make a change. Let's make a difference. We can do it. Everything in life is possible. Remember, we're the only ones that control our lives. No one controls it but ourselves.
On that positive note, we want to take the opportunity on behalf of the family of Grapevine to tell you thank you so much for being our special guest.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And it was a pleasure having you on the Grapevine, of course.
Thank you. Thank you, likewise.
Again, this is Wallingford Lee saying good night for the Queen's Grapevine and saying thank you for watching our program, and we hope it has been to your liking. Good night.
Get up in the